Hello, I'm Jennifer Durantel, a second-year PhD from De Montfort University. We're all here today because we believe in the incredible potential of wool as a circular material and are excited by all of its qualities, so I won't retread that ground too much. But my multidisciplinary research in wool has taken me on a slightly different path than many here, and I definitely started way out in left field. While teaching and living in Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia for 2 years, I became very interested in two things: traditional Mongolian gers, which are felted wool tents stretched over an expandable wooden frame, and in the cultural, economic, and environmental problems facing Mongolia. The problems facing them, wicked problems, are complicated and messy and are causing extreme rural to urban migration, an era of cultural flux, rampant air pollution, and a swelling of unplanned urban areas called ger districts that are now home to nearly 60% of Mongolia's population. As an environmental and textile designer, I saw the potential overlap between these two areas, and that became the basis for my research. I knew wool to be a material with many possible uses, highly exploitable biological and physical properties, and a long cultural backstory in the region. So, spurred on by these factors, I began to frame out several ways of conducting research into the fibers themselves and into their potential as having a larger role in a circular economy within Mongolia. By connecting the threads of contemporary felt making practice back to historical records of felt and felt artifacts, I'm able to situate contemporary Mongolian felt making as an already perfected and efficient process, which should be preserved in any additional material or system interventions. Wool felt has been documented in production and use in Central Asia since the 3rd millennium BCE, and it was so culturally significant that from around the 4th century, the Chinese called the cultures living on the grassland steppes the people of the felt. The Mongol Empire as we know it today rose around the 13th century, and Genghis Khan's warlike expansion over the Eurasian steppes to Eastern Europe spread the Mongols' felt-making practices. Genghis Khan described the Mongols as the generations who live in felt tents and proclaimed that the Mongol nation would cease to be if people stopped living in gers. Today, wool felt is still made in a process that connects back centuries and holds a place of extreme significance in Mongolian culture. Mongolians manually process the wool and hair of 5 kinds of animals for use in their daily life: sheep, horses, camels, goats, and yak. The wool is sheared, washed, and then beaten on the grass with long wooden poles. The new wool is rolled out and felted together with an existing panel of wool. Mongolians refer to this as joining the mother felt with the daughter felt. The daughter felt is built upon the wool of her mother-in-law's ger and that of her mother-in-law's ancestors, creating composite walls that can be up to 10 inches thick. In Mongolian culture, the spirit of the female ancestors is said to reside in the fibers of the felted wool. After the new layer is felted on the old, water is added and grass is sprinkled on top. It's tightly rolled in soaked hides and bound with horsehair ropes. Mongolian felt making is unique in the use of a camel or horse to drag the bound felt bundle back and forth over the ground to complete the felt making process. Accompanying this are specific rituals, chants, and songs, the drinking of ariak, fermented mare's milk, blessings to the Father Blue Sky, and community-wide feasting. The resulting felt from this process, because it's laid haphazardly together and then felted through dragging rather than by a human hand agitating the felt in 1 or 2 directions, results in a more multi-directional felt where the fibers are not aligned, and in some instances may also utilize animal locks that are already twined together and matted. This can be confirmed by examining the fibers under a typical compound microscope, where the relationship between fibers can be seen. The specific process of felting impacts the technical qualities of the finished felts. Running a series of technical textile tests, I was able to determine that this felt is unusually insulative and more heat and water resistant as compared to other types of wool textiles and factory-made felt. I then used this process to examine the fibers on artifacts and wool fragments held in the British Museum from a 4th century Silk Road cache. Once again, by understanding the specific techniques which make felt making in Central Asia unique, I was able to confirm the same qualities were present in these artifacts. This underpins the significance of the felt making from a historical perspective, but more importantly, it confirms that the technical qualities that result from this style of felt making have been refined and intentionally exploited over the centuries. Another method of investigation was using De Montfort University's scanning electron microscope to identify the individual animal fibers that made up my sample composite felts. I was able to confirm that the 5 types of animal fibers used in Mongolian felt are combined in ratios specific to herd makeup in different areas of the country, as well as the time of year that the felt was made. Once the individual animal fibers were identified and tested, I could then understand their potential to be used in new ways. I began to create novel biocomposites with the animal fibers and other biological components, utilizing the felt making process for synthesis. And now my research is concluding with the development of a rubric for creating new circular wool products based on the technical qualities I've discovered. In Mongolia, wool is already the center of a successful circular system that utilizes every part of herd animals and in which wool products are passed down through generations due to their spiritual significance. In alignment with the traditionally animist views of the nomadic herders, livestock are viewed as equal participants in Mongolian culture, and their slaughter and shearing is viewed as precious. The resulting materials are fully utilized within a closed loop system. The issue of wool circularity in Mongolia is almost the inverse of the one we're here discussing as facing the UK. However, the wicked problems facing Mongolia are threatening the existing system of wool usage. Western designers, humanitarian groups, and local politicians are now quick to point out that the Mongolian ger should be abandoned in favor of modernizing, moving into planned apartment blocks and permanent Western-style homes. This would break the system of circularity that's developed over centuries and break ties with a cultural and historical material that the Mongolian people hold dear. But by diving into the technical and historical qualities of the wool, I've come to understand its current place in Mongolian culture and propose new models for circularity that could also start to alleviate some of the wicked problems facing the country. I'm developing wool composite building materials for use in a semi-permanent built environment, as well as wool keratin bioplastics and other means of novel material development to use wool in new ways, keep it in circulation, and still honor its role in Mongolian culture. So while the UK doesn't have the same issues facing it as Mongolia, I believe the potential new uses for wool within a circular economy are transferable and can inspire novel system healing in the UK as well. Thank you.